Hey guys, welcome back to the AT-AT Chat, and I just want to hop right into my review of Children of Tehar. Children of Tehar was a fantastic episode of Resistance. This show is finally finding its rhythm, and this episode oddly had the exact balance I was hoping for between the people on the Colossus and the First Order. This episode finally mentioned Kylo Ren, which was something I had been hoping for since they mentioned the show was coming out. Although we don't see him in this episode, we do see his ship as it approaches the Colossus way down the line as the episode ramps up, and that was enough for me. So, as usual, the episode begins with Kaz screwing up again. He's a complete dummy, and although he is finding his place amongst Eager's crew, he's kind of unsure of himself as a mechanic. He ends up destroying a very expensive acceleration compensator that Tam was installing into the fireball, and rightly so. She gets furious with Kaz because of his lack of knowledge, and the mere fact that Kaz thinks he can just pay her back makes her kind of lose her mind. You know, he just doesn't really understand what he's saying when he promises these things. Kaz is broke. He has no money at all. So Kaz ends up escaping the wrath of Tam after getting a few wrenches tossed at his head, and he heads to Aunt Z's. And while he's there, Kaz overhears two patrons at the bar talking about the bounty on two lost children or runaway children, right? And since Kaz is extremely impulsive, he thinks he can just go find these kids, get the money, pay back Tam, and that'll be that. Do a good deed for the kids, make some money. He's just gonna get himself into trouble. As Niku points out, Kaz is no bounty hunter and probably has no idea what he's about to get himself into, and this is just Kaz's trope, continuously getting into trouble. We do end up seeing the two children from Tehar creeping around the platform searching for scraps so they can feed themselves. They seem rather resilient after witnessing the demise of their village. It reminded me a little of Aladdin and Abu in the marketplace, you know, scrum rats stealing for themselves. I actually enjoyed this kind of stuff. The kids end up being caught by one of the vendors, and by pure coincidence, they literally run into Kaz. You know, Niku and BB-8 are also there, and there was the little gag with the space piranhas again, and I think this will end up being kind of like a gag that goes on as the series continues. I like seeing, I think the guy's name is Bowser Gruel. I like seeing him just pop up and just go through these stupid experiences because of Kaz's idiocy. So unfortunately, the oldest runaway doesn't want Kaz's help at all. He ends up leaving behind a token accidentally from his village as he just kind of like runs away from them, and it has this peculiar kind of Arabesh writing on it. So Niku ends up letting Kaz know that he has a connection on the platform that is essentially the eyes and ears of everything going on. In the engineering level of the Colossus, we meet Niku's friends. They are called the Shell Folk. They are kind of like sloth turtles, and they pretty much just keep the platform up and running. They are the unsung heroes of the Colossus, if you will. There's also one tiny bit about the Shell Folk being able to slow down their life cycles as they hibernate, etc., which will actually come into play later on in the episode. The Shell Folk promise to report back if they hear anything about the children. So as Kaz and Niku head out back to Yeager's, Captain Doza summons Kaz to his tower to talk about the runaways. He said people saw Kaz on the platform trying to get the kids, right? And Kaz ends up handing over the token that he found that one of the children dropped. Doza looks at it very suspiciously. Even he knows something is strange about this whole bounty situation. He did ask Kaz if he ever considered who might place this kind of bounty on these kids and why, but I'm pretty sure Doza knows why, and then he ends up reaching right out to Phasma. So as Phasma pops up in the hologram, she straight up lies to Doza. At least, you know, to me it was obvious that she was lying, that the children are from a high-ranking, non-military family. And Doza can see through the bullshit here, but he has to do what he has to do and lets the First Order come to his platform just to kind of placate, right? The second Kaz is back with Tam and back in the confrontation with the compensator. The Shell people end up hitting up Niku, letting him know that they found the kids. And Tam demands that Kaz fix the compensator before he returns, no matter what. So as they meet with the kids down in the engineering level, Kaz finally learns that they are not lost, but they are running away from Kylo Ren and his army. Kylo Ren slaughtered everything in the village, and what's more interesting is that no one has even heard of that name before. I love that these kids also sort of say that Kylo Ren reminded them of the old Jedi with his laser sword. it kind of puts a spooky vibe on, how people remember the Jedi. Seeing Kylo as the first Jedi Force user after so many years would probably traumatize you. Kaz knows exactly what is going on, lets the kids know that the First Order are the people that are after them. We finally see some compassion from Kaz here too, and it's almost like this paternal instinct. I actually like this aspect of his character here being brought to light, and I hope that we do see a bit more of Kaz's humanitarianism and just, thinking for other people, putting himself out there for other people. I thought it was great. So as Kaz and the older brother are looking for medicine to help the younger sister with the broken leg, the First Order ends up seeing them, and we see a gold-plated commander stormtrooper named Pyre, flanked by 2 regular First Order stormtroopers. A tiny little chase ensues, and they end up back in the lair of the Shell folk. So it's pretty wild that even the kids don't know why the First Order is destroying everything. It seems like they just went to Tehar and just destroyed and killed everything. Maybe we will find out that this was to use the planet as a, temporary base. I'm not sure. Cool stuff to think about. So as the First Order tries breaking into the engineering level to grab the kids, Kaz devises a plan where the kids will fake jump into the ocean pretending to die. But in their place, the Shell folk will actually be the ones that splash into the water, slowing down their body systems. So it will trick the First Order into thinking that they died in the plunge. Pretty smart tactic from Kaz if you ask me. It's starting to show that he's learning how to get solutions and solve problems on the fly. And if he's going to become part of the Resistance, he has to have this ability, if you ask me. So kudos to Kaz for devising this plan. Phasma ends up calling Commander Pyre after this encounter, and he lets her know that the children are destroyed. This pleases Phasma because she wants all of this information kept from the Resistance, but we know Kaz is part of the Resistance, spying, and surely he will report this, and he does. Also, to Kaz's surprise, the Shell folk fix the compensator, surprising Tam, and what's great is you can see them kind of softening up around him, like Tam and Kaz. Like I said in my first review of the show, I think something is brewing between Kaz and Tam here. Whatever it turns into, a strong friendship, relationship, who knows? But I definitely feel like that is happening. So as Kaz reports to Poe, he ends up actually interfacing with Alo Atsi, and he reports the destruction of Tehar, and no one has even heard of this planet. So the assumption is that it must be in the unknown regions. And I have to say, overall, this was a great episode, finally bringing the conflict between the First Order and the Resistance front and center. And I'm actually curious, are you guys enjoying the show right now? Are you interested in staying with it or just kind of dropping it? I'm truthfully really curious because it's starting to become a favorite show of mine to watch each week. So anyway, thanks for sticking around for my recap and review of Children of Tehar. And if this is your first time tuning into the AT-AT Chat, please hit the like button and subscribe so you can stay updated on my latest content. Other than that, AT-AT signing off.